Marvel has over 2,000 mutants, and at some point, the writers clearly ran out of cool powers, because next to the fire throwers and mind readers, there's a guy whose digestive system is two giant slugs that live outside his body. There's a hero whose skin is transparent flammable wax. There's a kid covered in 57 eyes, a man whose only mutation is being blue, and one poor soul whose single superpower is exploding exactly once. Today we're going through the weirdest mutants Marvel ever printed, from the mildly strange to the genuinely unexplainable, and I promise you, by the end of this list you'll be asking what the writers were drinking that day. Quick disclaimer, every joke and opinion here is mine alone, delivered with love for these beautiful disasters, and if you enjoy deep dives like this, subscribe and join the family. We're small, the algorithm is brutal, and content this weird deserves a home. Alright, let the freak show begin. Respectfully, the Body Horror Starter Pack. First up, Glob Herman, the Walking Candle. His mutation replaced his skin and muscle with transparent, wax-like goo, so you can see his entire skeleton and every organ floating inside him at all times. Imagine trying to date. The wax makes him tough, and since it's flammable, he can literally set himself on fire and keep fighting, because the fire can't finish him. His weapon is being on fire, his curse is also being on fire, and he can't even control the flames. School treated him like a monster, which is heartbreaking, because under all that wax he's mostly just an awkward kid. Then there's Beak, and this one hurts my soul. Barnell Bohusk mutated into a birdman. Feathers, beak, hollow bones, the full package. Except he cannot fly. Nature gave him every downside of being a bird, and skipped the only good part. He's not strong, he's not fast, and by his own admission, the thing he does best is make friends. And here's the twist that breaks me. During the House of M reality, he got to live as a normal human, saw his real face, and then had to go back to being the bird. Imagine tasting normal and losing it again. I genuinely love this guy, and I need Marvel to leave him alone. Eyeboy is next, and the name is the whole description. Trevor has more than 57 eyes covering his entire body. Arms, back, chest, everywhere. Eyes. To be fair, the power is actually useful. He sees lies, hidden details, things nobody else catches. But think about daily life for 1 second. He can't turn them off. Every t-shirt is a hazard. He permanently has at least one black eye somewhere, because with 57 of them, statistically something is always getting poked. Useful power, nightmare existence. And of course Maggot, the legend. The man voted most likely to make you put down your lunch. Maggot has no digestive system. Instead, two giant slug creatures named Eenie and Meanie live outside his body, eat literally anything on his behalf, then burrow back into his stomach and transfer the energy to him, which turns him blue and super strong. I need you to picture a superhero mid-battle going, "Hold on everyone, my stomach needs to go eat a car tire. Be right back." Whoever designed this character was having a very interesting day at the office, and honestly, part of me respects the commitment, the ones the universe was just cruel to. Ugly John might be the saddest entry on this whole list. No powers, no strength, no speed, nothing. His entire mutation is having 2 extra faces on his head, 3 in total, each showing a different emotion. That's it. That's the whole gift. And for that, Sentinels hunted him like he was a threat to humanity. His story ends with him gravely wounded, beyond saving, and Cyclops giving him the only mercy left to give. A man got a death sentence for a face. If you ever wonder why mutants are scared in this universe, remember Ugly John. Unis the Untouchable sounds cool at first. An impenetrable force field surrounds him. Nothing gets through. Unbeatable, right? Well, Beast once boosted that field so much that Unis couldn't switch it off, and suddenly food couldn't get through either, and the man nearly starved inside his own superpower. Another time Spider-Man just webbed the entire field shut and let the air run out. Your power being both your shield and your coffin is peak Marvel comedy, and I feel bad for laughing. Kind of. And then there's Rogue, and yes, I know, she's an icon. She doesn't feel like she belongs on a weird list. But strip away the fame, and look at the actual mutation. Any skin contact drains the other person's energy, memories, powers, and potentially their life. She can't hug her family carelessly, can't hold hands. The most beloved woman on this list is serving a life sentence of distance, and we just accepted it because she's cool. That's objectively one of the strangest, cruelest powers Marvel ever wrote, fame or not. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this parade of beautiful weirdos, tap that like. It takes 1 second and genuinely helps this small channel survive. And tell me in the comments, which power so far would you least want? I'm taking notes. Okay, it gets stranger. The ones you've never heard of, for good reason. Forget-me-not might be the most tragic concept Marvel ever came up with. His power is that the moment you look away from him, you completely forget he exists. Everyone does. Instantly. He's been on the X-Men for years and nobody remembers him joining. He barely shows up on video footage. He saves the day constantly and gets zero credit, forever. A hero whose reward for heroism is oblivion. That's not a power, that's a philosophy lecture with claws. And it quietly haunts me. Long neck is exactly what it sounds like. William's entire mutation, his whole X gene expression, is a longer than average neck. No stretching, no abilities, just neck. And because the world is unfair, he was still targeted for being a mutant. And most fans assume he was among those lost when the Scarlet Witch rewrote everything. The man got hunted over a neck. I don't have a joke here, I'm just tired. Jazz is my personal favorite tragedy of laziness. His mutation is being blue. That's the entire power. Just blue. And before you say Beast and Nightcrawler are blue too, yes. But one of them is a super genius powerhouse and the other teleports. Jazz is simply a blue unemployed man whose dream is becoming a rap star, and he doesn't even have talent for that. The X gene really looked at this man and said, "You get a paint job, good luck out there. If I had to choose between this power and no power at all, I'm taking no power, every single time." Choir has 3 extra mouths around her neck. Now, extra mouths, that could be terrifying, right? Acid spit, sonic screams, something. No, the mouths sing, beautifully, in harmony, like a built-in choir. That's the whole thing. Sentinels are attacking, and this woman's neck is hitting soprano notes. Lovely at weddings, useless in war. And Tag. Oh, Tag. This teenager's power is the children's game. He touches you, declares you it, and suddenly everyone around either runs from you or chases you uncontrollably. Marvel turned Playground Tag into a mutation. In a universe with Omega-level reality warpers, this kid is out here playing schoolyard games with people's brains. Picture him tapping Thanos on the shoulder, saying "You're it," and the entire battlefield scattering like pigeons. I want to be mad, but the mental image is too good. Okay, everything so far was the appetizer. What comes next is the reason you clicked, and I am so sorry in advance. The Unhinged Hall of Fame. Wraith has invisibility, which sounds amazing, until you hear the fine print. Only his skin turns invisible. The muscles, veins, and organs stay fully visible. He's not a stealth agent, he's a walking anatomy lesson. Sneaking up on enemies is pointless when your appearance alone sends them into therapy. Technically, that is a form of psychological warfare, so points for accidental efficiency. Jin Genie could create seismic shockwaves, actual earthquake power, real destructive potential. One catch. The strength of her power depended on her blood alcohol level. Meaning to save the world properly, this woman had to be absolutely hammered. The writers looked at superheroics and a drinking problem and said, what if both, together, as one character? Incredible vision, truly. She fought for a team while barely standing, and shockingly, that lifestyle did not end well. Who could have predicted? Zeitgeist deserves his own therapy arc. His power is spewing acid from his mouth, and he discovered it as a teenager at a party, when he got sick all over his summer crush and, well, dissolved the moment forever. He spent his whole life unable to remember that poor girl's name. Then during his one big mission, when everything went wrong and his own acid was the last thing he ever felt, in his final second, it came back to him. Her name was Felicity. That is simultaneously the funniest and most devastating character beat I have ever read, and only comics can pull that combination off. Toad Boy is where weird stops being funny. His tears carry an intensely addictive effect on anyone exposed to them. His father abandoned him over his looks. Criminals later took him and used him as a living factory, farming his tears. And when his mother finally got him back, the exposure had already hooked even her. A child whose sadness is literally a substance. Marvel wrote that, for fun apparently. I need to speak to whoever approved this pitch calmly, through a locked door. And then there's the story that turns this whole video quiet for a minute. A boy whose power, the day it woke up, affected only living tissue, and it could not be stopped or aimed. In one night, his entire town was simply gone. Wolverine found him sitting alone in the silence, stayed with him through the night, talked with him like a father would. And by morning, Logan did the one thing no hero ever wants to do, because there was no cure, no cage, and no tomorrow where that power doesn't wake up again. It's one of the heaviest single issues Marvel ever published, and it exists to remind you that in this universe, a mutation isn't always a gift. Sometimes it's a tragedy wearing a hospital gown. Okay, deep breath. Let's climb back toward absurdity, because we need it. Bailey Hoskins is the universe's cruelest punchline. His power is a massive explosive blast, genuinely huge, real Omega-scale boom. He can do it exactly once, because he's the bomb. Using his power means ending himself, which makes him, functionally, the least reusable superhero ever designed. And the day he found all this out, He also lost his parents to a sentinel attack. Same day, Marvel really said, this character's whole life is a monkey's paw, and printed it. Mr. Sensitive has antennae granting him impossibly heightened senses, hearing, touch, everything cranked past maximum. Sounds useful, except every sound is a scream and every touch is a burn, and the constant pain got so unbearable that for a long stretch of his life, the man simply stopped caring whether he'd see tomorrow. Professor X eventually built him a special suit that quiets the agony, and he became a functioning hero. But the idea that the price of super senses is never-ending pain, that's the recurring theme of this whole list, isn't it? The gift always bites. Mr. Immortal cannot die, ever, at all. Sounds like the best power here, until you read the fine print, because he feels every injury completely, and worse, he's the only true immortal in the entire multiverse. Which means one day, at the end of everything, when every star burns out, and every universe closes its eyes, one man will still be there, alone, watching, forever. The weirdest part of the weirdest list is that its most powerful entry is also its most depressing. Sit with that one. And finally, the champion. Soft serve. Look, I need you to understand something before I say this. I did not make this up. I triple-checked, because I refuse to believe it. There is a mutant whose power is producing ice cream, as waste, from her body. That is the mutation. And according to the characters around her, the ice cream is genuinely delicious, any flavor she wants. And during the Krakoa era, there are actual scenes of her happily serving it to crowds. There are so many questions I want to ask right now, and I'm physically restraining myself from asking a single one of them, because this channel would not survive that conversation. YouTube has rules, and every one of them is standing between me and the obvious joke. Just know that I'm suffering. The writers knew exactly what they were doing, and somewhere out there, a Marvel editor approved this with a straight face. The champion, undefeated. Please never make a movie about her. Or actually, you know what, do. So what did we learn today? Honestly, that the X gene is a lottery where most tickets are cursed. For every laser-eyed hero, there's a blue guy with no job, a kid who explodes once, and a girl serving soft ice cream against her will. And real talk, this is exactly why I keep saying Marvel is sitting on a gold mine. Instead of another forgettable show, give me an anthology in the style of The Boys Diabolical, one short episode per weird mutant, their daily life, their misery, their tiny victories. I would watch every second of that over another Ironheart or Miss Marvel, and it would be the perfect side door for introducing mutants properly. Someone at that studio, steal this idea, I give it freely. So now, your turn. Which of these powers would ruin your life fastest? Which one would you secretly take? And who's the weirdest mutant I missed? Because trust me, there are hundreds more where these came from. And if this video does well, part 2 is absolutely happening. Subscribe before you go, join the family, and remember, in a world of gods and monsters, somebody has to be the guy with the long neck. Be kind to him.